Well, let's talk about what you do for Concord. How do you get the job of being an A&R guy?
Well, it didn't happen overnight. When I was hired by Concord back in 1987, right out of college, there was no position. I was just happy to accept a titleless gopher job and started out by doing things like organizing the Publicist's photo library, peeling stickers off of returned CDs so that our warehouse could sell them again. But all of those, even those kinds of mundane tasks, I felt were good learning opportunities because I quickly learned the artists in the catalog and the artists that were signed to the label. About a year into working for the company, Carl Jefferson, the owner and founder of the company, invited me to join him for a Carmen McRae recording he was producing. It was a live recording at a now defunct club called Birdland West. So that was my first opportunity to work in a producing capacity. I was assistant producer on that recording. And shortly thereafter, we had started a solo piano series called Live at Maybach Recital Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And he had turned me loose on the first of those recordings, which was a Joanne Brackeen recording, and I produced several of those, acting as either producer or, if he was present, associate producer on the recordings in that series. But I came into it with a music background. I was a music major in college. I got my Bachelor of Music in a music business program at University of the Pacific, so I'm not sure how it's structured here, but that particular major included fulfilling all the requirements that any conservatory of music major would have to fulfill in terms of studying music. And additionally, there were courses from the School of Business and Public Administration and courses specifically geared to the music industry.
What did you play?
I'm a trumpet player.
Really?
Yeah.
You still play?
I do. Not as much as I used to. I made a brief cameo appearance on Karin Allison's last record, which was nominated for a Grammy.
That's a very nice record. You played on that?
Yeah, I played the harmon mute trumpet thing on Footprints.
I'll have to check that out. So, tell me more about your daily life at the company. Now you're dealing with the production of records all the way through. That's your main job?
Well, we have several A&R people in our company now. We've grown from a company of about 15 or 20 employees when I first started working at the company back in '87 to around 160 employees. So it's a lot of growth through acquisition. Like you mentioned earlier, we had acquired the Fantasy company, all of its masters, which includes such great jazz labels as Riverside, Prestige, Pablo, Contemporary, Milestone. And at the end of 2005, we acquired Telarc, which, as you well know, is a great jazz, blues, and classical catalog with an active, ongoing recording program. So my current role, my title is Vice President of Jazz and Catalog A&R, so I'm very specifically focused on jazz. That does include producing some of the new recording projects or otherwise supervising them. There are some projects that I may act as more of an executive producer role, that the artist will produce themselves or work with another producer. And on the catalog side, which is where I these days spend most of my time, is working with what is now a very large jazz catalog on reissue programs.
What is your mandate for that? Put out as many as you can, as fast as you can?
Not exactly, although it seems like that, because last year I produced or otherwise supervised more than 50 projects that were released, and this year it's probably going to be about the same number. But that isn't the directive now. As we've grown into a larger company, we also have investment partners, so we have to deal with the issues that any corporation has to deal with in terms of showing a profit and doing a profit and loss analysis before you start a project, before you start incurring costs. So it's as many as we can that will be profitable in the first year, and that's the benchmark. Is we're looking at a 1-year window.
Well, how do you balance out the retail distribution world with the online world? What percentage, what's the relationship of those two? They both figure in your computations, right?
They do figure into the computations. Still, the online world is only about 10% of what we sell, if even that. So still a good 85% is CDs, and another 5% or so with other means of income like licensing and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a challenging environment right now, because although you read the news about digital download business increasing, you say 50% over last year at this time, or some number like that, the fact is it hasn't increased enough to offset the business we're losing in CD sales with major stores, major chains like Tower closing. So CD sales are down overall about 20% compared to where they were last year.
20% in 1 year? I thought it was like 20%.
It was about 20% the first three months of the year compared to the first 3 months of last year.
Really?
It was down about 20%.
Well, that's a big hit. I thought it was stretched over 5 years, but you say it's in 1 year that's fell that much. Wow. But do you sell directly to accounts? Does Concord sell directly to Barnes & Noble?
No, we're distributed, now we're distributed worldwide by Universal Music Distribution, which is one of the major distribution companies.
Yeah.
And Telarc is distributed through Fontana, which is kind of the independent arm of Universal Distribution.
Do you have any relationship to the distribution arm to what Universal is doing? Or is that just, they just supply the records to the stores, they just ship them?
To what Universal, the distribution company is doing in terms of what?
Well, like you get involved in the co-op advertising, you get involved.
Our company does, I don't personally.
Yeah.
My function is an A&R function, although I do get involved in sales and marketing to the extent that projects that I produce I have a vested interest in, and I want to make sure that they're doing everything I think they can and should be doing to.
So when you have a product
project within the budget.